Okay, so I want you to see that the whole deck is mixed and there are no repeated cards. Okay, and all I'm going to do, I'm gonna refold the deck with the middle finger over here on the corner, and you will say stop anywhere you want. Okay, it doesn't matter where, just say stop.
Stop.
Right there?
Mm-hmm.
Now you want that card or you want to change it?
No.
That one? Okay. So I want you to see that there is no way for me to find your card, much less knowing which one is it. But all I'm going to do, I'm going to spin the deck and your card should come up. Okay? Let's try. Only one card pops out. Is it that 10 of diamonds by any chance? Mm-hmm. Is it? Well, just to make sure it's no coincidence, I'm gonna try one more time. All right. So just I'm gonna once again, refold the deck, and you will say stop anywhere you want. Go ahead.
Stop.
Now you want that card or you wanna change it? That one. Okay. Once again, there are no cards flip or anything all the way through, as you can see. All I need to do is just spring. Watch. And one card pops out. You see that it's so close. Mm-hmm. There you go. That's the only card that is turned over. Hello everyone. So this is a really nice technique that I came up by accident, and this is almost self-working. It takes little to no practice. All you need to know is how to do the spring. Now, some people, they have issues doing the spring, from hand to hand. But it's gonna be much better you use decks with medium stiffness. But it's better not to use soft decks. You can make it work using soft decks or playing cards, but it's gonna be much better you use medium stiffness, okay, like this one. This is not really too soft, but it's not really too hard, So this is still coming up. The card flips on its own, which I will explain in a minute, but I'm gonna explain the way I'm doing the grip. Okay, some magicians, they do the spring from corner to corner, which is still, kind of fine. It works fine, but it's not something that I actually do all the time. And I actually have two cards gimmick. Well, it's not really that much of a gimmick, to be honest. I will explain that in a minute. But the way I'm doing the spring is by putting my thumb in the center, okay? And you have to let the cards go by the thumb, not by these fingers over here. You have to let go by the thumb over here, all right? If you have a lot of issues with stiff decks and you spring in sections to sections, and some people, because some decks are too stiff and the cards may bounce off your hand and then you may drop them on the floor. And they do sections like this. You can use soft decks and it's still gonna work perfectly fine. But medium stiffness, it works better, at least for me. It's something you have to practice. Anyway, let me get off the topic very quickly about the spring. Some people may hold the deck, with the tips of these fingers in the front. I'm holding the front edge using the knuckles, the middle section of the hand, okay, over here, the joints. So I don't have to apply a lot of pressure with these fingers over here. So I use the center part of the fingers. Anyway, maybe that depends on the size of the hand, I don't know. But I let go by my thumb. So that's gonna work, okay. Anyway, the way this works, let me explain very quickly. So let me find the cards by doing a spring, maybe this way. It also depends on the direction of the flap, okay. Now, the way this works, or the way I came up with this move, it was by accident because I was practicing other tricks. Which trick? Well, let me explain this one. It's supposed to be a card that bends itself, okay. Let me put it over here. So it goes down on its own and it's okay. I was practicing that trick, and because I already have this card, which is a normal card, I just bend it, which I will explain some conditions. It's not just the fact that you have the card bent. It depends on the direction of the flap and the way you're doing the flap. Let me get over that in a minute. You can get any bonus card, whatever card you have, and bend it and create a flap over here on the front. The flap has to be at least 2 centimeters. That's really important. Do not make it any less than 2 centimeters. 2.2 centimeters, that's a great size for a flap. All right. Now the way I'm creating this flap, you can just fold it, I'm going to explain how you can get away with it, and I will explain some variations at the end, how you can accomplish this move without using gimmicks. But it's not going to be as clean as this method. So I'm using a blade, and I'm cutting halfway down. Halfway, the thickness of the card is all you need, so you don't cut the card. And if you're using, let's say, let me find out the card. Okay, over here, the 10 of diamonds. If you're cutting over here on the picture, there is a diamond over here, you have to restore the color. Now, it is much better to use a blade than just folding the card, because if you fold it, the wrinkles over here are gonna be too noticeable. If you use a blade and cut halfway down, you're gonna minimize the wrinkles at least 80%. In the folding over here, the crease is gonna get minimized at least 80%. So you don't see a lot of wrinkles. But I'm gonna explain how you can get away concealing the creases, you know. And don't fold it to the back. You can just fold it this much, but don't fold it to the back, because then you're gonna start creating wrinkles. You can fold it to the front, but don't fold it to the back, okay? And the flap, like I said, this is really important. It has to be at least 2.2 centimeters, not less than 2 centimeters. Because when I was doing this flap, you know, using the frames of the picture, trying to conceal the flap, it didn't work. So it has to be at least 2 centimeters or 2.3 centimeters. 2.2 works fine. And don't do it over here in the center. It has to be, this size works perfectly, okay? 2.2 centimeters. And the flap has to be towards the audience, okay? You have the flap, if you have this flap towards you, it's not gonna work. The flap has to be towards the audience, okay? And then it's gonna work. There you go, it turns over. So like I say, don't use soft decks. It has to be medium stiffness, that's fine. If it is too stiff, okay. But maybe if the deck is too stiff, then you're gonna have some issues trying to do the spring, you know. It's gonna be more difficult. But either way, medium stiffness and soft decks, they're gonna work anyway. And when you do the spring, try to do it straight from to bottom. Don't do it in angle. You can make it work in angle, but then you have the risk of flashing the flap, okay? So you have to get a straight up flip. This way is better. And it's better not to do, as you notice, a huge spring. Don't rush your hand too much, because you don't want to flash the flap for too long. So you can do it really small, okay, and it still is going to work. And it's going to pop out, and you can conceal over here the crease. Well, let me explain the way this works, how the card turns over. Because this area is softer, you know, when I do the spring, the card, it flips this way, it goes this way, okay, and it's gonna end up like this. So that's how the card managed to turn over, okay. And the fact that I'm doing it over here, a small spring, is gonna minimize the flashes, because if you do it pretty high, then you can flash the card a little longer, and you're gonna get more chances to get a little bit of a mess around the table. So just keep a small spring, all right? Also, when you finish doing the spring, sometimes, because it's a small spring, the card may end up sandwiched like this, okay? And when you run the deck, you may flash the card like that. So when you finish, just get a little glimpse toward the side of the deck to see if this is not folded. If it is folded, then just, you know, lift it from your side, your view, and try to restore the shape of the card from the back. You can just lift it and hold the upper packet with one hand and restore the shape with the one you're holding the bottom packet, like this. But you conceal that fix from the top. You conceal that fix using this hand and the top packet. You just do this, okay? Once again, I just do this. Okay, I already fixed it. In the process of squaring, you fix, you unfold the card, and then you can flash you can actually flash the crease. Just don't overshow it. So because the crease is already towards you, the flap, I should say, when you spread the deck, you can see over here the flap is towards me. So when I spread, my thumb is concealing over here the crease, And you can even flash the crease a little bit, just a little bit, okay? And then you can keep spreading and show the back, and the crease is concealed the whole time. And don't take it out because you're gonna flash, like I said once again. So let me flip it. There you go, as you can see. Just be careful with that. And when you adjust, don't show the back. I mean, I can get away with that on camera, but I mean, you can flash it, but you still have a kind of a risky situation flashing this white line. Like I say, try to restore the color. It is really important. I place my thumb at the bottom, turn it over. Notice my thumb is already concealing over here the crease, but I don't have to exaggerate. It doesn't have to be an exaggerated situation for you to conceal the crease 100%. And you don't have to be too fast. Okay, so notice, pay attention to the way I'm concealing the crease. I'm over here, I'll jog it, and keep concealing the crease, show the back, and that's fine. You cannot handle that card, so you can just return the setup by placing the thumb at the bottom, turn it over, and put it over there. Okay, that's it. You don't have to be too fast. And there you have it, the card turned over, show the back, and that's it. That's how I conceal the crease. Now, the way I did it in a performance is by forcing the card, because the spectator cannot actually touch it. Let me find the card once again. Okay, the spectator don't supposed to touch the card. So what I did, and as I did in other videos, I cut the corner of the card that is next to the gimmick. Let me find the card. The short card. Okay, I have one short card over here. What I did is I cut the corner over here about 1 millimeter, just one corner. Don't do the opposite one. Why not? Well, because when you force the card, notice I'm putting that short corner right under the gimmick, the card with a flap. This is the card that I'm gonna force. So the flap, it has to be towards the spectator, and the corner has to be towards me. Why? Because I have to force the card this way. Okay, so let me show it over here. So I force it over here, and you don't see the crease because the crease is towards me. If by accident I have the corner over here, the short corner, then when I do this, I'm gonna flash the crease. So I don't wanna be able to, to have that short corner over here, because then I'm gonna be flashing. So that's why, for you not to get into that accident, just cut one corner, just a little shorter, and that's gonna be perfect. So again, I force the card. I'm flashing the crease over there. That's why it's important not to have that short corner over there. So this way, you show it, you let it go. All right. So I already forced the card. This way, I don't have to use duplicates, all right? And because this principle works depending on the direction of the card, I'm using two gimmicks, two flaps. One at the bottom towards me, and one in the middle towards the spectator, all right? So let me spring. When I spring, only one card turns over. Well, actually, this card should go that way, okay? When you show the card, when you force it, you have to turn over. What happens if you don't find a short card? Well, that means you have to, you don't find the short corner this way, you have to turn it over, and then again, give the explanation to the spectator what is gonna happen. So you don't have to go through and look for a card. If you want to know the direction of the flap, you can squeeze the deck, and notice right there in the middle, there is a little crease. In the middle of the deck, you can see a card with a crease. So that way you don't have to run the deck. So you can explain to the spectator what you're going to do. I'm gonna riffle the deck over here, and you will say stop anywhere you want. And if you didn't feel the corner, flip it over, and then do it once again. You need to do a test. You need to run a test for you to find a card, and then you can force it, okay? You can spin the deck and begin with a spring. So again, it has to be straight up from top to bottom. Don't do it from side to side. Don't try to be too fancy. That's the point. But if you can be fancy, you want to do other moves, that's going to be up to you. And don't take it out, because if you take it out, you will flash the flap. So that's why this card has to be on a flat surface. This surface or this surface over here next to the gimmick. So you can turn it over, and this card will always remain on the flat surface, so the card doesn't get bent on the crease. So in case you don't want to use a gimmick card, there is another variation, which is not as amazing as this one, and it's not self-working. But at least you don't have to use a gimmick card, and you can use anybody else's deco playing cards. So let's pick the Nano Hearts. All right. So what you need to do, you need to control the card all the way to the bottom of the deck. You can use any other method. If you want to know the way I did it, you go to the video description. So the next, I'm gonna be putting that card right in the center of the deck. All right, this way, from the bottom into the center, face up. So from here, what I need to do is just hold the deck in mechanics grip. The ring finger is the one I'm using to side jog the card. Okay, I need to place it over here in the side. I'm not using the index nor the middle finger. Why? Because if I use the index finger, you can see right away I'm moving the card sideways. So this is what I need to accomplish. I need to accomplish this. The card has to be over here in the side, all right? But this hand is concealing this card over here. And the way I'm doing that is by showing my hands. When I go back, the ring finger is pushing this card sideways. And for the audience not to see that, that's why I'm using the ring finger, the finger that is close to me, and it has more control than the pinky finger. That's why I'm using the ring finger. Index, middle finger remain in the packet. Just the ring finger is the one bending and moving the card sideways. Okay? So that's what you need to accomplish, just like that. So once you already have it over here, what you need to do is the spring. But don't do the spring top to bottom. You have to do the spring front and back. You have to keep the hand in the front, and you have to keep it a small spring. All right? So you have to do it like this. Not like this, but like this, in angle, front and back. Because if you go like this, you will flash this card, obviously. So when you start doing the spring, somewhere in the middle, you will bend the ring finger and force that card into the spring. And the cards, they're gonna keep, going right on top. Let me explain that very quickly once again from this view. Okay, you don't even need to stop. You just keep doing the spring, and this card just bend it. Let me show you once again. There you go. And the card is gonna end up somewhere in the middle of the spring. So that's the variation. Pretty easy, as you notice. And anyway, if you still have any questions, make sure you post it in the comment section down below. And I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial.